think the Bulls dynasty, a little revisionist history here, would have lasted if the team stayed intact?
I thought it was over. And listen, it's hard to say, particularly that last season. They won 62 games. Jordan had averaged 28.7 points per game on 46% shooting. Scottie Pippen had, he was around 19 points a game. Dennis Rodman had averaged about 15 rebounds a game, etc. I'm only going by what I saw because of all that they had endured. Now, if Jerry Krause and his relationship with the players weren't so bad, his relationship with Phil Jackson wasn't so bad, that the climate didn't exist where they felt like they were being pushed out of the door, and as a result, appearing to be at times so drained, like everything was an uphill battle, then maybe it would be different. But based on what I saw, probably residue from all they were going through off the court, but based on what I saw on the court, I just felt like that really, really was their last dance. You could tell that it was over, that they were ready to move on because they were so disgusted at having to be pushed out that everybody just wanted to go their separate ways. That's the only reason I feel that way, because of what I saw, residue in all likelihood, leaning off of the whole Jerry Krause situation and beyond, Max. That's where I'm coming from with that.
Yeah. I see it. We see it largely the same way, but I take the opposite point of view here. When you ask how long would the dynasty have lasted, that's like if Krause doesn't muck it up. He got it wrong. He didn't understand what to do in the transition.
I mean,
so
Krause.
We're talking about, and by the way, that Krause, yeah. And by the way, when I say muck, that is with an M. Right. But Krause. He messed up. Look, Michael Jordan was still MVP caliber. Let's say given and by the way, averaging about 39 minutes a game. Let's say the following season he would have fallen just to high all-star caliber. Scottie Pippen was still quasi all-star the next year, right? Still certainly better than an average starter. Rodman was about done, but if a GM is savvy and puts the right pieces around, like when you say the Bulls dynasty, you mean just Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Phil Jackson, right? Krause moved on from all those guys too soon. So if you look at the core as Jordan, Pippen, and Phil Jackson, they don't want another one. I think that because don't forget, Michael Jordan came back 4 years later and in a partial season was still pretty damn good, was still all-star caliber. In his last season, he wasn't great, even though he averaged 20 points a game. But in the second to last season, still all-star-ish. And we're talking about 4 years before this. I think they would, look, would the Knicks have stopped them in the East? Maybe, but I don't think so. And once you get past the Knicks, and by the way, Patrick Ewing was hurt heading into the finals. Once you get past the Knicks, you got the Spurs, and that would have been tough. But I would have bet on Michael Jordan to defend his crown, so that gives you at least one more year.
Well, I can't summarily dismiss that, and I won't even try to, Max, because I wouldn't bet against Michael Jordan. All I'm saying is that, again, when he came back and was playing in Washington, remember, you had a few years layoff to sort of refresh yourself to some degree. Plus, he had ownership aspirations. But I think that when you look at that particular Bulls team, again, I'm only leaning on the fact that it was such a headache for them to deal with that season because Krause, Reinsdorf had allowed Krause to essentially push Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan and those boys out the door. They wanted Phil Jackson gone. Michael Jordan had made it clear that he wasn't interested in playing for any other coach, so it was going to be his last year in Chicago. It was going to be Phil Jackson's last year as a coach. Scottie Pippen was going to finally be able to go on and get paid what he deserved because he, like Jordan, not to the degree that Jordan was, but he was shortchanged monetarily as well when you put his game in comparison to some of the dudes who were actually getting paid. You just saw all of that, the drama that came with Dennis Rodman and everything else. All of that stuff that was going on. They just appeared to be tied. Would I bet against them against San Antonio? No. Would I bet against them eventually against the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe? Not the young Shaq and Kobe. No, I would not have bet against the Bulls. The New York Knicks, if Patrick Ewing and his knees weren't compromised, and this was earlier, that might have been different, but no. So you're right about that. It's just that it appeared to be such a headache. I don't know if they could have gone through another year like that.
Look, The famous quote from Krause was, players don't win championships, organizations win championships. Brother, this ain't the NFL. In the NBA, you better believe players win championships. And all he had to do, Krause, was get out of his own way. That comment, the Phil Jackson stuff, not paying Scottie Pippen, all of that. So just replace Krause at that moment with an average GM, and they got another championship.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.